First of all, just a reminder that if you have any questions or comments about your dog's behavior or just want to share a great story, I always want to hear stories about rescue dogs and especially tough situations, because every time one of those stories comes across here on the radio show, someone says, you know what, I could do that. I can go adopt an older dog or a senior cat. So I love to hear those stories as well. And if you're new to the pet show or regular, it doesn't make any difference. Everyone that calls into the pet show and gets to talk to me live on the air today will get an absolutely fabulous gift, not for you, but for that beautiful dog that looks up at you with that beautiful cat. And many of the gifts we give away on the show are worth as much as $25, $35, $40, or even $50. So if you have a question or a comment, want to share a great story about your dog or cat, or just want to brag a little bit, come on, brag about your dog or cat. They're your kids. Great time to give me a call. As I said, everyone that gets to talk to me will get a fabulous gift for their dog or cat. The phone number here at the Pet Show, 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. Plenty of time for your calls. Lots of great stuff to give away. As I said, Hugs and Kisses is back in stock now. Kitty Licky's back in stock. Copies of my best-selling books. Those great T-shirts, air horns. Lots of amazing stuff to give away. So, great time to give me a call. Again, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. We got an interesting show lined up for you today. I'm on the air with you guys now. Don't ask me. It's either 43, 44, 50. I don't know how many years. I think it's closer to 44 at this point. And in all those years, you've never heard me tell a story about P.O.'d Warren. Well, I had a conflict this week. You all know I moved to a new community in Arizona, and you know me, I get along with everybody. Everybody. I say bees. Well, not so much here with a new neighbor. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I think you'll find it kind of interesting, and I think you'll get a new perspective on the fact that you don't mess with Warren's pets. Again, that number, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. I think you're going to find the story interesting. Some people laugh. Some people are really angry. I mean, I was really angry. I said words I haven't used for 30 years, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll tell you exactly what happened. I think you'll find it a little amusing, a little serious, and maybe it's happened to you, and it's time that pet guardian stood up and said, you know what? Enough is enough. We live here, too. But other than that, we got an interesting show lined up for you guys today. Real good information I want to share with you. First of all, let's talk about this. Can we agree, for the most part, that our dogs have very, very little control over their own lives? Of course they do. So what is the word agency? A-G-E-N-C-Y. What is agency, and how can it make you a better pet guardian? Again, we can agree that most of the time our dogs don't have control of their own lives. We're in control. So agency might be a critical way to help resolve that issue. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on the show as well. Again, that number, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Still, Beck, I'm kind of getting used to my new office here, my new studio. Confusing. I'm reaching to the right. My stuff's on the left. I'm reaching to the left. Stuff's on my right. I need pause. That's what I need. Anyway, also coming up on today's show, if you want to start an argument anywhere, I don't care where you are, Passover dinner, Easter dinner, regular dinner, barbecue. If you want to start an argument, sit down with a cat guardian and dog guardian and ask, are cats as smart as dogs? It's almost as bad as a UFC championship fight, but I have the ultimate answer coming up. So, are dogs as smart as cats? Are cats as smart as dogs? I'd love to get your take on it as well. Great time to call me, 866-870-KRLA. Also coming up, lick, 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 lick. We all have dogs that lick themselves and wonder why. So why does your dog lick themselves? You might think you know, but I don't think you do. Coming up, the top 10 reasons your dog may be licking too much. We'll have that coming up as well. And this is really, really scary. You know, every day you can turn on the news and this French bulldog was stolen, this Australian shepherd stolen recently, and I'm just talking about LA, but you know I do my international show after this. I'm telling you, pet theft is up 40%. 40%. Wait till you hear this story and wait till you hear how many few pets are actually returned with their guardians. Also coming to solar eclipse in a week or so, how are your pets going to react, and also how unpredictability affects your pets, and also my story about someone told one of my dogs to shut up. Let me just leave it there for now. I'll bring it up a little bit later. We'll talk about that and what happened and how they made a GoFundMe page to bail me out. Anyway, as always, plenty of time for your calls. Lots of great questions. Lots of great stuff to give away. So if your dog is jumping, chewing, scratching, maybe that rescued cat's confused about the litter box, that great new puppy is not housebroken, your dog doesn't get along with other dogs, not thrilled with some people either, or believes that if he sees it, he must hump it, give me a call. Again, that number, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. And the question of the day is, do you let your dogs make choices? Do you let your dogs and cats make choices like where they want to sleep, where they want to eat, where they want to walk? Do you let them make choices, or are you one of those domineering people that you go where I go or else? I'd love to hear from you. I got some great gifts, as I said. Hugs and kisses back in stock. Kitty lickies for those cat people out there, and you know how much your cats want those. Copies of my best-selling books, How to Get Your Dog, How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want. Lucy Pet Food, great Lucy Pet Food to give away, all the different varieties. Those T-shirts that say, none of my friends walk upright. I got some of those air horns as well. And as I said, every week, if you don't have one of those air horns, you shouldn't be walking your dog outside. Again, the number, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. So let me toss this out at the beginning of the show before I get involved with other things that I'm going to talk about. Has anyone had a neighbor that did not like the fact that they had dogs at their house, and that maybe their dog barked once in a while, or maybe their cat jumped over the fence? Anyone out there ever had a neighbor that was really, really so bitter that no matter what your pets did, he was aggravated or she was aggravated? I want to hear from you, and then I'll tell you my story as well. And it's a story like you've never heard Warren tell before, because you know Warren, Mr. Nice Guy. I get along with the world, everyone. I get along with everybody. You know, I rescue bees out of the pool. I save somehow, some way. I've been living here for what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and unbelievable. My next door neighbor, I don't think is thrilled with me living here, and I'll tell you why coming up a little bit later. Great time to call me, by the way, if you have a question or a comment. If you want to just talk about some of the topics, if your dog's licking too much, or if you find that you're fearful of your dog being stolen, do you know what agency means? Do you think dogs are smarter than cats, or cats smarter than dogs? And do you let your pets make choices for themselves? You know, you get this all the time. You see people walking their dogs down the street, and the dog wants to go to the left, and the guardian wants to go to the right, so they pull the dog to the right. Well, is that really fair? Is that really fair, or should you give your dog or a cat more opportunity to make choices for themselves? I think that's really, really important. Also, the solar eclipse. Has anyone ever experienced a solar eclipse before with their pets? Any reaction? I want to hear from you guys as well. 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Now, you may say, okay, Warren, I know you're going to answer all our questions, but what is this you're talking about? Why do you keep bringing up? Well, if you're not on my Instagram page, or if you're not on my Facebook page, I actually made a video about the confrontation I had with my next door neighbor. First time ever had a confrontation with my next door neighbor. And when you hear this story, and you hear what the ultimate result was, I think you're going to be shocked. And I want to hear, maybe you've had similar stories as well. So we're going to talk about that. It's kind of interesting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought it up. You know, I try to kind of keep my personal life, which is insane. And this whole move has been crazy. The fact that we moved to a different location is nuts. But we're adjusting well. Molly and Willie are adjusting well. I got a neighbor that's not adjusting too well. Let's call him Joe. By the way, I found out that's his real name. We'll talk about that a little bit later on today's show. And why can't people just be more tolerant? Why can't people just be nice? Why can't people just put a smile on their face and say hello? Why does there have to be so much bitterness in the world? You know, why is everybody so angry? I don't want to go into the psychology of human beings, but am I the only one seeing this? You know, I lived in Santa Monica for almost 30 years, and when I moved there, it was great. And California is a great state, but let me ask you a question. Did you find in the last year or so that a lot of people you're meeting are angry, bitter, upset. I mean, when I moved to California, I was living like the king. I mean, it was Santa Monica. I came from Long Island. I was right near the ocean. I'd walk in the sand. There's sand in my shoes all the time. I just loved it. Everyone was smiling. Hey, how you doing? But now, lately, the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, when you walk down the street, maybe it's me, no one smiles anymore. Everyone's afraid to look at everybody else. It's kind of like, I'm afraid to look at you. What's going to happen? It's kind of freaky, kind of scary a little bit. But does anyone else have that feeling, or is it just me? And maybe that's why people are spending more time with their dogs and more time with their cats. Maybe it's the only stability that they really have in their lives. Great time to call me. The phone number 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. You're going to want to hear the story about my confrontation because I'm sure that you've had it as well. I posted this video. I posted this video on my YouTube channel. I also posted it on my Instagram. And if you're not following me, check out youtube.com/Warren Eckstein, Instagram @Warren Eckstein. You can go to facebook.com/Warren Pet Radio. I think you'll find it interesting. And I think you're going to see a part of me. We've been talking to each other. God, we go back to, Regis and Kathy Lee, the Today Show, Our Magazine, the Mickey Mouse. So we go back years and years and years together. And in all those years, I don't think you've ever seen me as reactive. I've been reactive when animals have been abused, but when someone says something to my dog, we'll talk about that later. Obviously, I'm talking about it a lot. Obviously, it bothers me a lot, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. Again, the phone number here, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. So you're kind of liking my new background here on the show when I do it behind me. If you're looking, those are some of the 12 books I've written, 4 bestsellers, but 2 of those books, one is Japanese and one's Italian and one's in German, by the way. I've yet to be able to read them. I just wrote them. And so I'm kind of having fun here. It's kind of like I'm enjoying it. It's kind of like my own little space here. I don't have to deal with Alex every week in the studio. You know how tough that is. Suzette I love, and Alex is kind of tough to deal with sometimes. So I'm broadcasting today from my new location in beautiful Arizona, and glad to be here. I love California, but I'm really happy to be in Arizona right now. Although everyone's telling me, Warren, wait another month or two, you're going to be running back to Santa Monica when the temperature reaches 105 or 106 degrees. Let me do this. We're going to get to Ann. We'll get to Kaylee in a couple of seconds. Let me take a break here. Again, that number, 866-870-KRLA. If anyone out there ever had a neighbor yell at them about their dogs, I want to hear from you guys as well, and then I'll tell you my story. 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Quick break, then right back to your phone calls. I'm here. Mighty Mouse is on the way. Hey, we are back on the Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. That phone number, 866-870-KRLA. Do you let your pets make choices for themselves? That's the question of the day. So, just before I get to the phones, Ann, John, Kaylee, Daniel, I'm going to get right to your calls. One of the things I was going to talk about this week was, at its simplest forms, are cats are smart as dogs, or is dogs as smart as cats? That's like the biggest argument in the world. I've been dealing with this for well over 50 years when people say, well, my cat's smarter than dogs, my dog's smarter than cats. So here's a response. And this is about the best response I can give, okay? They're different. Asking whether a dog is smarter than a cat is like asking whether a hammer is a better tool than a screwdriver. It all depends on what it was designed for. Cats were designed differently from dogs. Screwdrivers were designed differently from hammers, but they both do the job to the best of their ability. So, this is not to say that animal behavior researchers haven't tried to measure dog and cat intelligence, or more precisely, cognitive abilities beyond those needed to sustain life. And they are different, but it's like a screwdriver and a hammer. They both have their legitimate purposes. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number. How did I come up with a hammer and screw? I don't know. I could have come up with a plier and something. Hey, Ann in Los Angeles. Welcome to the Pet Show.
Hello, Warren.
How are you today, Ann?
I'm okay, thank you. The reason I'm calling, I'm almost 80, and my little dog that I rescued about 3 years ago she's so dependent on me for everything. She wasn't that way until recently, and she watches me and she follows me. If I wake up, she wakes up. I don't know what to do.
Well, why do you need to do anything?
It scares me because I'm getting older, and
okay,
she's
so here's
only 10.
here's what you do. Okay, we all have that same fear. That's why I believe everyone should set up a living trust for their pet. We're all going to pass on, and we're all going to cross that rainbow bridge at one time. What's going to happen to our dogs and cats when that happens? So what you need to do right now is, rather than worry about it, you need to really set up a living trust. Find someone that you can really trust. Make sure they are willing to work with you. Have it legally set up. It's not that expensive to do. And this way, you can go to sleep every night. And I hope you live to be 150, but you can go to sleep every night saying, you know what? If something, God forbid, were to happen to me, at least I know I can cross the rainbow bridge knowing that my cat will be taken care of. So I'm a strong believer.
My daughter said she would take her.
Let me tell you something.
Listen. Me to get Prozac.
Well, no, Prozac for who?
For the dog.
Well, why would he give you Prozac for the dog? The dog is really attached to you. There's nothing wrong with the dog being attached to you. Why is he trying to drug the dog up? The bottom line is, what I would recommend, again, is if your daughter lives nearby, have her get used to the dog or the cat as well. But here's what's so important. You know, I spend a lot of time at shelters over the years, and very often someone will say, oh yeah, if something ever happened to you, I'll take care of your dog, or if something ever happened to you, I would take care of the cat. Ask any shelter worker about how many relatives bring in the dog or cat of a relative who recently passed away after they promised to take care of them. So I don't care if it's your daughter, your husband, your best friend, whatever, get it in writing. Set up a living trust.
Okay.
In that trust, the attorney will help you set, this is how much money they get, this is what happens at the end, all of that's going to be written out in a way, and this way, when you do finally cross, and hopefully it's going to be for hundreds of years down the road, but when you do finally cross, you cross knowing that at least your best friend is taken care of properly.
Okay.
All righty, listen, great call, by the way, Ann. I want everyone to know setting up a living trust, not just a will, but a living trust is the way to go. Ann, don't go anywhere. You got a 10-year-old dog. I'm putting you on hold, and I am going to send you for your dog. You know what? I'm going to send you some of my own hugs and kisses. We'll keep that dog going for a long, long time. That's a big worry for a lot of people. What happens to your dog? I'm going to have to break it up, but John, don't go anywhere. Kaylee, Daniel. People have no idea how stressful that is, wondering about what's going to happen to their dog or cat. Now, if everyone that put their dog or cat in trust or in a will for me, if they all, I hope they also live to be 190, but if they all crossed at the same time, I would have to buy a state. Phone number here at the Pet Show, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. John, we'll talk to you about Wolverines. Kaylee, we're going to get to you with your dog problems, and we're going to find out about homeopathic cures for cats as well. Do have a line open. Great time to call me, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Quick break, then right back to your calls. I'm Warren Eckstein, and yes, you are listening to The Pet Show. Jumping on the bed. Hey, we are back on The Pet Show. I'm Warren Eckstein. That number, 866-870-KRLA. Coming up, I'm going to go over my rant with the next door neighbor. I think you'll find it interesting, and I think you'll find it way out of character for me, but I think it's important that everyone hears it, because sometimes you just have to stand up to the bully. But let me take another phone call. First, let's go to John. Hey, John, welcome to The Pet Show.
Good morning. Thank you for being there.
Hey, it's my pleasure. What's up, John?
I am concerned because we have a nearby politician in Glendale who has the idea to reintroduce wolverines into our foothills here. Personally, I'm concerned because we already have coyotes and bobcats and the occasional bear who wander around and can prey on all the loose pets that seem to be getting out, the little powder puff dogs and the cats. And these guys regularly disappear, and they become a coyote's taco. And my concern is that eventually, no matter where they let the wolverines loose, these little critters will migrate closer and closer to where people live, and we're going to have yet another predator after our dogs and cats that inevitably get loose and wander up and down our curves.
John, it's a really interesting conversation, and I kind of disagree and agree with you at the same time, okay? It's the responsibility of people that live with pets to make sure their pets are safe and secure. Yeah, occasionally it doesn't happen, but it does happen. But to victimize an entire species of animal that, by the way, was here before and was poisoned and trapped to death, and not to let them back, I'm not necessarily against it. I got to do some more research on it. But I know just now I understand that Colorado has a same bill going across to release some wolverines. So I really haven't made a firm opinion. My gut reaction is, you know what? It's up to responsibility of the people living with pets to take care of their pets. I'll give you an example. When my dogs are in my backyard, I'm in my backyard, never more than 5 or 10 feet away from them. When I take my dogs for a walk, they're always on a leash, never further than 6 feet at the end of my leash. So yeah, there are problems out there, and I just heard recently of someone whose dog was chased down by a coyote, and they got away with it. But if that dog was on a leash, he never would have been chased down. So I have mixed emotions, and I know where you're coming from, John, and I understand that the fear. Nobody wants to see their dog or their cat or any animal get hurt. But you can't victimize a species of animal that was here before we were here and was poisoned to death, killed, and trapped, and totally almost extinct. And now we don't want to bring it back. So I need to give it some more thought, John. But my gut reaction is I'm not against it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't. It's not so much introducing yet another species as increasing the general predator count.
Yeah, well, there are other things that can be done with the predator count. There are things that have been done in other parts of the country and other countries in the world. For example, of trying to control the coyote situation, such as birth control feedings and birth control. There's a lot of things that can be done. Okay, so before we start saying we don't want them here, I think we have to go a little bit further. But it's a great conversation, and I'm glad that you have that concern, and I have that same concern with you. But I think we have to give more responsibility to the pet guardian and the more they take care of their pets. You know, it's just like, why are coyotes coming to us? Why are the other animals coming? Because that's where the food is. If you put your food away properly and there's no food around, then chances are they're going to go elsewhere. Great call, by the way. John, what type of pets do you have?
We are petless at the moment, I'm afraid.
A petless person? Well, why don't you go out and get a Wolverine?
Well, that's an interesting thought.
There you go.
You think they can be housebroken?
Listen, I've never housebroken a Wolverine, but you know what? after the people I've been dealing with this week, I'll take on a Wolverine any day. Hey, John, don't go anywhere. I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to send you a T-shirt that says "None of my friends walk upright." Great call, by the way. Great time to give me a call. The phone number 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Kaylee and Daniel, do you have some patience? Will you hold on while I do this story of this thing that happened to me this week? Let me do that, and I'll get to your calls. And I'll send you some great gifts, by the way. Let me just share it with you while I have some time. All right, so you all know I moved to a new community in Arizona, right? And so I've been in my new community for exactly a month, give or take a day. The other morning, I'm out in the backyard, my fenced backyard, small backyard, it's a community. I'm out in my backyard with Molly. The next door neighbor, who I never met, was moving his trash barrel over some rocks. Obviously, it made some noise. Not something my two rescue dogs are used to. Now, my 10-pound Molly barked twice. You guys know me. No one in the world more honest than Warren. Literally, Molly barked twice. Rough. This is an 11-pound to 10-pound dog. After she barked twice, I thought nothing of it. That's what dogs do. She barked twice. She heard something. That's the end of it. Then all of a sudden, I heard a loud voice yell, "Shut up! Shut up!" For a split second, it didn't register. But then I said to the neighbor, "Did you tell my dog to shut up?" He said, "Yes, I did. And by the way, you ought to get them trained." He has no idea who I am. Has no idea of the tens of thousands I've dog trained for military, police departments, and rescue work all around the world. So he says, "Yes, I said shut up and get those dogs trained," at which point I let a few words fly that you don't usually hear from Warren. You do hear them occasionally. I don't want to repeat what they were. Now, once I confronted him, and when I say confronted him, I mean confronted him. that's me, he ran into his house, which is what most bullies do. I guess he realized, and this is what Denise, so here's what Denise wanted me to do. My wife Denise said this would be the greatest idea. Warren, the guy has no idea of your background, who you are, the experience you have, you know, whatever. She wanted me to take 3 or 4 of my best-selling books and put them on his stoop and just walk away, which would have been a good idea. But I was so angry. I mean, literally, I was angry enough that one more inch and nonviolent Warren was about ready to become violent. I don't care what you do. You don't tell my dog to shut up. Say, Warren, I heard your dog bark. Can you be quiet? Whatever. You just don't tell my dog to shut up. So here's what my lovely wife, Denise, wrote on her post. And by the way, the post is on. If you want to see, I did a whole video on this, and it's really interesting. You can go to my Instagram. It's Instagram at Warren Eckstein. You can go to Facebook at Warren Pet Radio. You can see it there as well. So Denise wrote this. I guess he realized you don't jump on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind, and you certainly don't tell Warren's dog to shut up. Bottom line is, what an angry, bitter man. Never met the dog, never said, can I get to know your dog? You don't tell my dog to shut up. Haven't seen him since. But quite honestly, the non-violent Warren can become violent. You go after my dogs, you say something about my dogs, literally, the dog barked twice. Woof, woof. So needless to say, I'm in my new neighborhood, and I've met so many amazing people here. Molly and Willie have met all kinds of nice dogs on their walks, and I met some great people. The lady behind me is a gospel singer, an incredible lady. The guy down the block. But sure enough, right next door to me, there has to be this one guy. Haven't seen him since. And hopefully not. So I had 2 choices here. And you can help me out with this, by the way. Here were my 2 choices, okay? Number 1, what I wanted to do is I wanted to go over and punch him in the face. Decided not to do that. And the other thing, the kinder side of me, the gentler side of me, the pacifist side of me said, you know what? Maybe I should go over and say, listen, maybe we can start this again. Do you want to have a conversation? But then I realized, no. There are certain people in life that are just so bitter and so angry you can't talk to them. So the story is this. If you see in the next couple of months a GoFundMe page for me, strictly for bail money, that's all it's going to be. By the way, does anyone ever had a problem like that where they had a neighbor who hated their dog or hated dogs in general and would constantly go after them or say things to them? Now, he could have said anything to me. He could have told me to shut up. He could have thrown a rock. I don't care. But once you tell my dog to shut up, it's on. And I told him right then and there, first of all, you don't know who you're talking to. And second of all, I better never hear the word shut up to my dog again. Run into his house. Haven't seen him in 3 days. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number. 866-870-5752. The rest of the show is yours. We've got some real good topics coming up. What is agency? I bet you don't even know what it is and how important it is for your dogs and cats to have agency. And we're also going to talk about that. And I got a great sale coming up. Lots of great stuff to give away. So it's a great time to call me. If you want to respond to what I just said, do you agree I should have reacted that way, or did I overreact? Come on, help me out, guys. I need some support here. Phone number 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. That is the way to get to. Let me take a break. When we come back, Kaylee, you'll be up next. Then you'll be followed by Dan. Now, they got an open line or two. Pretty rare here on the Pet Show. I know it's a nice day, but great time to give me a call. And I want to hear from you guys. I need your support. It was upset. I'm not usually like that, so obviously you can tell it really upset me. Anyway, that aside, to all my cats, call me 866-870-KRLA. To my friend Pam Scholl, who does a lot of rescue work with German Shepherds. Pam, you need some help. Pam wrote me on my YouTube. She says that she had a crush on Mighty Mouse. We got to talk, Pam. We got to talk. Hey, phone number here, 866-870-KRLA. We're going to get to Anna in Sun Valley with her neighbor aggressive with her dog. We'll get to Charlie in Pasadena. Her cat can't be touched. Great time. I do have an open line or two, so if you have a question or a comment or want to share a story, a comment on what I just talked about in terms of my next door neighbor, I'd love to hear from you. So got lots of great stuff to give away, 866-870-5752. But let me go to Kaylee first in Tarzana. Hey, Kaylee, welcome to the Pet Show.
Hi, hi, Warren. Good to hear from you again.
What's up?
I'm doing good. Hey, I have a problem, and I have a solution for you for your problem.
I'm ready.
What do you want to hear first?
You tell me. Your choice.
Okay, so here is my problem. I have 2 dogs. I have a Chihuahua Terrier mix who just turned 14, and he's got some big health issues going on. But I also have a rescue dog that's a little Dachshund mix. And my problem is when a couple weeks ago I had to take the older dog to the vet. I took him in one day. My little dog, the Dachshund, saw me taking my other dog with the leash into the car, and I think he thought that they were both going to be going for a walk, but I only took the older dog. So,
come on, mommy dearest, mommy dearest.
Seriously. So I took my dog to the vet. She said, I need you to bring him back in tomorrow for blood tests. So the same thing. I got up in the morning. I got his leash. I had to make 2 trips back and forth to my car. So what I didn't realize, in one of my trips, the little dog slipped outside in my backyard. So I took my older dog to the vet. An hour and a half later, I come back home. And I'm thinking my Dachshund is in the house because he likes to hide in his little hiding places. And then I hear this barking in the backyard. I'm like, wow, that sounds like Solo. So I open my door, and sure enough, Solo's at my door. So he was outside for a few hours. Ever since that day, his behavior has completely changed. He hides, he shakes, he doesn't want to go on his walks. When I try to take him on a walk,
well, obviously, being outside, a small dog outside, I'm sure there are a lot of sounds and things, and he was traumatized not being with you. Just give him some time. Give him some time, work it out, little at a time, make little progress. Don't try to force the situation, and he will come around. But let me tell you, it's very difficult. When I have to take one of my dogs to the vet, and it doesn't exist. If Molly has to go to the vet, Molly and Willie go together. If Willie has to go to the vet, Willie and Molly go together. It's a very, very bonded pair. And when you separate them, sometimes the desperation or the panic is there, and that's not healthy for them. So I would just as soon take both to the vet, have him treat the dog that needs to be treated, and have the other one there. Now, here's a secret that I do. No one's more neurotic about losing pets than me because I hear the horror stories every single day. So every time Molly and Willie are in my backyard, when I bring them in the house, if I'm leaving, or I bring them in the house because I'm going to sleep, the first thing I do is I say, one of my dogs is brown and one of my dogs is black. So the last thing I say before I leave, or the last thing I say before I go to sleep, is brown and black, black and brown. This assures me that they're both inside the house. Sounds a little bad sometimes, but they're inside the house together. So that would be my resolution. Number one, I hope the Chihuahua gets through his health situation, but if you got to bring him to the vet, I'm sure the one left behind is going to be stressed out. And you know what? It's actually healthier for the one you take him to the vet to have his friend there with him as well.
You know, that's what I got after this all happened. I realized that the other dog thought I was taking the older dog maybe for a walk, and he was being excluded. And then when it happened 2 days in a row and he wasn't able to go again, I think he just went into panic mode, like, why is Mom taking Axel and not me?
You know, we talk about separation anxiety on the pet show when the dogs become anxious when their guardians leave. But, you know, separation anxiety, let's get rid of this human ego. It's not just when we leave. Separation anxiety or abandonment issues, can actually take place. Dogs that bond with each other, like my 2 guys, they are so bonded with each other that when one is outside with Denise and one's in, there is a bit of separation anxiety. And with separation anxiety, I don't know if they're rescue dogs, abandonment issues come into play. So I want you to keep them together as much as you possibly can, and whatever colors they are, whenever you leave the house, just say those 2 colors to make sure they're both inside at the same time.
Yeah, they're both one's black and one's brown. So I'm going to
like mine, brown and black, brown and black, black and brown and black, and I bring them into the house. And let's face it, the Eckstein family is pretty diverse. That's just the way. Yep. That's just the way we are. Anyway, Kaylee, listen. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was a huge learning experience for me to now always take one with the other if I have to go to the vet. I'll just take
the way
both.
to go. the way to go. That's the ideal way to go. Well, listen, you give them both a hug and a kiss. I'm going to put you on hold, and I am going to send you some. I'm going to send you some Lucy pet food for the guys, and I really appreciate that phone call. But it is interesting. People don't realize sometimes that from a separation anxiety perspective, that they can only be anxious because we're leaving. No, they're anxious when their best friend leaves. Come on, when Denise leaves the house, I'm anxious because I don't know what to do. I can't even boil water by myself. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Anna in Sun Valley. We got Charlie in Pasadena. We got Daniel in Seal Beach. I want to get to all your calls. Do have an open line. Great time to call me. I got some more hugs and kisses to give away. Some more kitty lickies, Lucy Pet Food T-shirts, copies of my book, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. So let me tell you, the hugs and kisses. And we are back on the Pet Show. So, Anna, I definitely want to get to your call. We're going to break for the top of the hour, so just bear with me. I got a great gift. Sit down, have a cup of coffee, give your dog a hug and a kiss. Daniel as well. We got a whole other hour to go. The phone number, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. If you want to ask a question or watch how I'm doing the show, you can check out youtube.com/Warren Eckstein, youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. Maybe in the next hour, I'll bring up Molly and put her on my lap for a second. You can see the culprit that got me in all the trouble out there. But we can agree that our dogs have very little control over their lives. As dog guardians, it's essential that we provide our dogs with a sense of agency in their lives. Agency simply refers to the degree of control that a dog has over their own environment and the events that affect them. Giving our dogs agency means promoting their ability to make choices and have control over their actions and experiences. Giving a dog agency is crucial for their emotional well-being and their overall health. We're always making decisions. Sometimes we just have to get rid of this human ego and let our dogs, where do they want to eat, where do they want to sleep, where do they want to play, where do they want to go for a walk. It's their life too. Hey, the phone number here, 866-870-KRLA. A quick break, then right back to your calls. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. If you love your dogs and cats, you have come to the right place. This is The Pet Show, America's first and only real pet psychology, pet behavior, pet training, pet lifestyle. We take care and resolve any issues that you may be having or things you may not understand in terms of the way your dog or cat is behaving. Very often we get, or people get upset with their dog or cat because they're behaving in a certain way. But lots of times they don't have the background or the understanding in terms of what may be causing that type of behavior, and is it really the dog or cat's fault, or is it something that we as pet guardians are doing or not doing that's causing that behavior? A great time to give me a call if you have a question or a comment about your dog or cat's behavior: jumping, humping, digging, scratching, not using the litter box, not housebroken, schlepping you down the block because you can't take them for a walk. If you have a question about your dog or cat's behavior, or just want to brag a little bit about your dog or cat, great time to give me a call, especially if you rescued an older dog or cat. I'd love to hear from you. Just a reminder that everyone that calls into the show and gets to talk to me will get a fabulous gift for their dog or cat. And again, we give away the gifts only because very often the gift that I'm giving is directly related to the problem you're calling me about. So many of the gifts we give away are worth as much as 30, 40, or even $50. So if you have a question or a comment or want to share a story, brag about your dog, or if you were listening the first hour and I told you about the incident I had with my neighbor who yelled at my dog and I responded, I'd love to hear from you. The phone number, 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-KRLA. Or if you're more of a numbers person, that's 866-870-5752, 866-870-5752. We as Americans, there's like 60% of Americans have pets, so we have a lot of power here. And some of the new laws and things I'm reading about are so horrible. Let me give you, before I get to the phones, let me just share this with you. I said in the last hour that pet thefts since the pandemic, pet thefts are up 40%. This according to a major study at the University of New Haven. But listen to this, up 40%, but only 6 to 10% of animals that are stolen are ever recovered. That's a sad, sad stat there. Only 6 to 10% 98% of animals are recovered. This according to Virginia Maxwell, a professor at the University of New Haven in the forensic science department. What a sad, sad story. I was aware of the numbers being stolen, but I wasn't aware of the minor numbers in return. So that's why it's so important. Make sure that you always know where your pets are. Keep them on a leash. Please keep them on a leash. I see people walking their dogs off leash. It's insanity. Great time to call me. The phone number here, 866-870-KRLA. Plenty of time for your calls. Lots of great stuff to give away as well. Let me start out with a phone call right now. Let me go to Anna. Hey, Anna, welcome to the Pet Show.
Hi. You know, the leash, please, drives me crazy. Number one, people with dogs in the car without a leash in the car, you get hit by another car, the dog is going to be in the freeway. I saw a video. I'm brokenhearted about that. I'm brokenhearted about the doggy that wasn't returned to this lady in downtown, you know. Let's go eat and keep the dog. You can't do that today with expensive dogs. They get stolen. Then
whether they're whether they're expensive or not expensive doesn't make any difference. I don't care how much you are. Your dog is a dog. But here's the thing, and you're absolutely right. People tend to be a little haphazard sometimes with their pets. I've seen people tie their dog outside when they go into 7-Eleven, tie their dog outside if they're going into a local deli, or tie their dog outside when they're doing this, or let their dog run loose in a park. And why take that chance?
Drives me crazy. Warren, let me tell you quickly, because before we run out of time, I lived in a rural area. I had a neighbor that was also the tenant of the same owner. So it was friendly at start, and then he started spying. So I avoided being around the yard when he arrived. I saw his van, so I hid behind my shed. And then my hybrid wolves that don't bark, they did their woof woof also, like you said, because he parked the van so close to my fence, and there was gravel. The gravel was very noisy, and my wolves go, ruh, ruh. Okay, and then I hear a noise, so I peeked, and I see him dousing the doggies with the hose. And at that point, I say, hey. He goes, well, they were barking. I said, well, you barked so close. They were not used to it. So the point is, you know, I went to court and got a restraining order on him, because if he could do that, there was a story about the previous tenants with their dog. They were allowed to escape in a road that was a speeding road, and I was afraid that he would do more than just dousing them with a hose. To have that kind of nerve, I want to say to people, cover the front fence. Don't leave your dogs looking at the fence barking at people, because they can do stuff. They can stick a hose inside. That's a case where they strangle a dog. They can shoot the dogs with BB guns.
Anna, you're right on target. But let me go over my fears, okay? I am putting cameras in the back, and I'm out there, and my dog's never. I have the fear that anyone who is that bitter and that aggressive may try, and especially after I confronted him, I'm always looking, you know, did he throw something over the fence that can hurt my dogs? Is he doing, first of all, he would not confront my dogs with me out there, and I'm out there all the time. So that's the bottom line, because listen, as I said, you will bail me out if I see him confronting my dogs and telling them to shut up again. So I don't understand why people don't understand. Listen, I have no kids, okay? My dogs are my children. I have lots of nieces and nephews. I love them too. But to me, or to pet guardians like myself, and like many of my listeners, our pets are part of our family. So would I tell his grandkids to shut up if they were crying outside, or yelling Marco Polo or whatever they do? I would never say to someone's kid, shut up. I might say, hey, listen, your kid's making a lot of noise. Can you talk to him? That's what
Warren, one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, last thing. You can install cameras. That's good, because after something happens, you can have the proof. However, I would not let little doggies alone in a yard. I always had them together. Cover everything with anything you can so they're not visible, just to avoid, neighbors or anything. But cameras will go after the fact, after something happened to your dogs.
Well, but see, the bottom line is the cameras will be there, but my dogs are never out there without me. The cameras are there so I can look at the camera. Right. So I can look at the cameras beforehand to see if anyone possibly did something to them. Anyway, great call, by the way, Anna. Let me put you on hold. And what do you want for your dogs?
Thanks, Warren.
What can I say? A T-shirt? What do you want?
Oh, I got the T-shirt ready. The book would be good. I never had the book.
All right, on its way to you. We'll send you a copy of How to Get Your Dog to Do What You Want. Hey, great time to give me a call. I got a few open lines. We're going to get to you in a minute, Daniel. The phone number, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. Plenty of time for your calls. I still got lots of great stuff to give away as well. Do you let your pets make choices? For example, when you take your dog out for a walk, do you always go on the way you want to go, or do you give your dog the opportunity to choose where he wants to go for a walk? If your dog wants to sleep in one room and you want him to sleep in another room, do you let the dog make that choice on his own as well? I was talking about this earlier, but I think very often most pet guardians, and you know you love your pets, very often we're a little, what's the word I'm looking for? A little too much in charge. And, you know, as a behaviorist and a trainer, it's important that the dogs understand what they can do and what they can't do. But can you imagine living a life where you're being told what you can do and what you can't do 24/7? You got to eat now, you got to pee now, you got to poop now, you can't sleep there, you got to sleep here. We're going for a walk, we're going to the left, we're not going to the right. It's not right. It's not right. Anyway, great time to call me, 866-870-KRLA. I want to hear from some of my people out there. Do you let your pets make choices like where they want to sleep, where they want to walk? If you get through and we talk, I will send a great gift to your dog or your cat. 866-870-5752. That is the way to get through. Let's go to my friend Daniel in Seal Beach. Hi, Daniel. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi, Eric. A question. It's about homeopathic care for a cat. Like, she has what we noticed last night, an ear infection. She was kind of sluggish all day yesterday, and then her right eye was closed, and she was kind of scratching at her right ear. But this morning, her eyes opened, and I was thinking taking her to the vet. But I know we do with our own family, with our kids and ourselves. We try to do homeopathic first, like witch hazel or coconut oil, which has antimicrobial.
Yeah, but the thing is, Daniel, the thing that's important to understand is some of the things that we can use on ourselves is not necessarily transferable to being able to be used on our dogs. For example, there are certain medications that we might take for anxiety. There are certain medications that we might use for this or use for that. So here would be my option. Number one, there's a couple of ways to approach it. You can always contact, there is a National Veterinary Holistic Organization. You can contact them. I'm sure they can give you some other information or at least refer you to a complimentary veterinarian in the Seal Beach area. By the way, one of my favorite towns in the whole wide world. So the bottom line is there's a lot of great complimentary holistic veterinary care out there, but it's important that you go to someone who's really knowledgeable about what they're doing. There's a lot of people all of a sudden putting up signs, oh, we do this and we do that. So I might even go online and just get a listing of complimentary veterinarians in your area, and I would approach it from that perspective. And it's very, very possible that you might have something in your house that the vet says you can use, but I'm not going to recommend or refer you do anything until you get a direct response from a complimentary vet.
Do you know any name of any of those, or just,
I don't have a specific one, but there's a couple of ways to approach it. Number one, if you go online and just go to the Southern California Veterinary Medical Association, very often, I haven't been on their website in a long time, but very often they'll have a list of specialties, cardiologists, ophthalmologists, and so they might have a list of homeopathic, and they probably do, of homeopathic or holistic veterinarians there. So that would be a good starting point. However, if for some reason they don't, because I said I haven't been there for a while, what you may want to do, the next step would be to go to the Veterinary Medical Association or the American Veterinary Medical Association, and they will definitely have a listing of organizations for holistic vets, and I would follow through. And I think it's a great idea. I think what you're doing, if there's a natural approach to take, I think that's the best way to do it. But very often people try things at home because they think it's good for them, and it turns out to be really detrimental for their pet. So I'd want you to get an okay from a knowledgeable vet at the same time.
Is it okay just to go with antibiotic right as your first response? I mean, is that
not necessarily? No, not necessarily. Again, we can't prejudge. Maybe antibiotic will make things worse. Maybe it's not the resolution. Maybe there's something else going on in there. So, I don't want to. I think at this. How old is your cat?
10.
10 years old. He's a young cat. You got another 10, 15 years with this guy. So let's make sure we take care of it properly right now. The other thing you may want to do is, if you don't want to go the whole route of complimentary, maybe if you contact a feline practitioner in your area, they can at least refer you to someone who does it if they themselves are not involved with complimentary vet care.
Okay. Cool.
What a great
Thank
call,
you.
by the way. Yeah, I'm so glad that so your whole family's into trying complementary approaches first.
Yeah, that's always our first go. It's my wife who kind of pushed it. I battled it for years, but now I've kind of relented. I see the benefits of it too, personally.
Yeah. I agree. Listen, I grew up on Long Island. You never know by my accent, but when I grew up on Long Island, I remember as a kid growing up that if you didn't feel good, take a pill. You didn't do this, take a pill. You didn't do this, take this. And so now I am so anti pills. In other words, everyone knows that I have rheumatoid arthritis, and if anyone who's ever suffered with rheumatoid arthritis, and I've gone through cancer in the last 2 years as well, knows that there's pain involved, and there's all kinds of heavy-duty opioid pain medications that doctors would recommend that I use, and I don't use any of them. I try to meditate when I can. I use some natural pain relief when I can, some CBD when I have to. But the bottom line is there are other ways to approach medical situations, and I'm a big fan of complementary, but I'm also a big fan of complementary in conjunction with conventional. If you use both together, usually you're going to get best results. Anyway, listen, don't go anywhere, Daniel. I'm going to put you on hold. I'm sending you some kitty lickies for your cat. Your cat will absolutely enjoy it. Give me a call back. I'm curious if you're having difficulty perhaps finding a complementary veterinarian, because they're all over the place, especially here in Southern California. Now, if you lived in Montana, it might be a little difficult. Hey, the phone number here at the Pet Show, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. I kind of expected a different response. I'm kind of interested. What would you do? Let me put this at you. You heard me talk about my next door neighbor and how they told my dog to shut up and how I reacted. I would love to hear from some of you guys. What would you do if you were outside with your dog and your next door neighbor squirted water at your dog, or told your dog to shut up, or yelled or screamed at your dog? What would your reaction be? Did I overreact? What would your reaction be? I'd love to hear from you. First of all, it'll make me feel a lot better. And I want people to understand that to certain people, and it's a battle that we're always going to fight, but there's certain people that don't have children that walk upright. Our pets are our children. We love them. We care for them. We go into debt to help them. We talk to them. We play with them. We want the best life we possibly can for them. We want to educate them the best way we can. I'm just joking. To get them into the best college. The bottom line is, how would you react? How would you react if you've been living in a new location for just about a month? The guy never said a word to you, never met your dog. All of a sudden, your dog went woof woof, and the guy aggressively yelled at the dog to shut up. What would you do? Did I overreact? Sometimes I need your help. So tell me, am I psychologically unbalanced? Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. I'll send you a great gift. Not if you tell me I'm psychologically unbalanced, though. The phone number, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. Let me take a quick break, then I'll get back to some of your calls. You guys are afraid to call me, I can tell. Anyway, listen, what...
Anybody, any veterinarians that even would want to handle it. Then by accident, we got a hold of a bird rescue up in Northern California. They recommended a doctor, Dr. Spears, in Oakley, California. I guess it's near Sacramento. And people thought we were crazy, but we talked to the doctor. And here we are in the valley, and my friend Chris, who takes care of the pigeons, drove all the way up there with this little bird, and he had surgery. And we found out that this doctor is about maybe the only one in the United States that actually can do this kind of surgery. And lo and behold, it was a success. He came back, and you wouldn't even know he had a deformed foot.
It's interesting that you brought up pigeons. I worked with an organization in New York, which was a pigeon rescue. And if you know anything about New York City, it's inundated with pigeons, so they're always getting hit by cars or hurt or whatever. And I love pigeons. They get such a bad rap. I think they're absolutely gorgeous, amazing animals. However, there are bird rehabilitators all around the country. So I don't know if this is the only vet in the country that does this. I'm glad you found him, and I'm glad he was able to do what he had to do in terms of your situation. And bless you for being so concerned. we all live on here together. So if you see an injured animal and you know what to do, if you don't know what to do, you call someone. But if you can do something, you do it. It's just and so now was the pigeon released back into the wild, or is he?
No, we have him here because it was a baby and stuff. But we have we have rescues. Some of the birds we have are blind. We all got them from the animal shelters, and they called us and he took them in. Some can't fly. Some are very old, and so far we just keep him. He has a nice spot, and that's about it. So I don't.
Well, let me tell. Well, but David, let me tell you something, David. David, let me tell you something. Pigeons get a bad rap. Pigeons are incredibly. I don't have to tell you. I'm talking to the preachers. Pigeons are incredibly bright animals.
Oh yes.
And you know what? When I was growing up in New York, sometimes, and even later on in life, when I was doing some training, some of my clients were little unsavory clients. I talk about it in my book. A lot of them mobsters. And what they would do to calm themselves down, they would have these pigeon coops on top of their apartments in Brooklyn and Queens, Howard Beach, whatever. And you would see these, I would see these aggressive murderers actually turn into like mellow, calm people when they're around their birds. It was just amazing to watch for me. Just amazing to watch. Anyway, what a great job. What I'm going to do, David, don't go in there putting you on hold. I'm sending you a T-shirt that say, none of my friends walk upright. They need that. We're all out there to help the animals. What a great story. I'm so glad to hear that David did that. By the way, there are organizations, there are rehabilitators out there. Sometimes they're difficult to find, but there are rehabilitators out there for birds and other types of wildlife as well. But I'm glad they found that vet. That's kind of interesting because there are a lot of avian vets out there. I don't know if this was the only one that did whatever type of surgery he had to do. But David, hats off to you, and what an incredible job. And there you go. These are pigeons. Anybody out there think pigeons are bad? We hear the rats with wings. I love pigeons. They're amazing animals. And there's nothing more relaxing. I used to sit in Central Park between jobs and just kind of feed them and hang out with them. And I specifically am addicted to the harlequin ones. I just think they're beautiful. Anyway, the phone number here, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. I'm going to take a quick break, and then the rest of the day is yours. So I'm going to come back and go to Robert in, let's see, we got Robert in Malibu. We got Neil in Venice Beach. We got Nancy in Simi Valley. We'll get to all your calls. I got an open line. The phone number 866-870-KRLA. Just reminding everyone again, if you're not following my YouTube, you think I'm pushing it, I'm not. I share a lot of information on my YouTube channel. It's kind of new to me, but a lot of that information is kind of like just 1-minute tips. Some are longer tips. If you want to see some of the older videos that I've done over the past, some are a little bit longer. If you want to watch me do the Mickey Mouse Club, I was the creature keeper on the Mickey Mouse Club. You can watch that as well. Check out youtube.com/Warren Eckstein, youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. Subscribe. It's free. It doesn't do anything for me other than I want to be able to share this information with you on a regular basis. A quick break, and then right back to all of your phone calls on Warren Eckstein. You're listening to The Pet Show. All right, let's you guys right down the list here. Let's start out with Robert in Malibu. By the way, Neil in Venice Beach, Malibu and Venice Beach, my two hangouts, by the way. I want you to listen closely, Neil, because your question may be a little similar to what Robert in Malibu. So I want you to listen up. Hey, Robert, what's going on?
Hello, Robert. Hello, Aaron. Hi.
Warren's good. Warren's good.
Warren, I am so sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's just me and you.
Last summer. Well, actually, about this time last year, we started noticing that our 12-year-old Burmese was losing a little weight, and I took it to our vet, and he looked at her and he says, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with her." And then he says, "That's the way I like to see my cats thin." Well, she'd lost about 30% of her weight, her normal weight that she'd had all 12 years of her life. And I didn't think anything of it. I rely on professionals to tell me the truth. Well, this guy just, a long story short, we had ultrasounds, we had daily visits for dehydration, injections of fluids. Then they ultimately did an ultrasound, and then this itinerant doctor that would drive around from veterinarian office to veterinarian office decided that he needed to open her up to see what the blockage was, and I stupidly let him do it. She came back to us with a catheter still in her arm, and then the doctor sent us to another, what they call an oncologist. And my wife all the time is saying, "Oh, we need to do palliative care," which I wish I'd listened to her. She'd still be alive. But this doctor gave us some little pills that cost 5 pills cost $1,500, and I was to split the thing into an eighth. How an individual splits a pill that's not much bigger than a saccharin pill into an eighth, I don't know. But I was supposed to do that and give the cat one of these every 24 hours.
So well, Robert, let me just jump in here. I don't want to run out of time.
Okay.
So in your opinion, you feel that the veterinary care that you received was bad. Can I say that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what would you do if a family member went to a doctor, a human family member went to a doctor, and you felt that the doctor was treating that person incorrectly or did something wrong? You
try
would
to find another doctor.
But you would also do this. So here's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend you contact the Southern California Veterinary Medical Association.
Southern California Veterinary Medical Association. Okay.
Exactly.
We were I've documented everything. We were going to file a complaint against. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you have a legitimate complaint against this veterinarian, what you do is you go to the Southern California Veterinary Medical Association. I'm pretty sure they have a form there you can fill out, and then they send it to whatever their advisory committees or whatever. But that's how I would approach it at this point. There are people in your case that might have said, you know what, I'm going to contact an attorney, and there's some great attorneys out there with all the information you have. But basically, what he's going to do also is just to work with some veterinarians that are going to take a look at it and say, okay, this is what was done incorrectly, or it wasn't done incorrectly. So I think step number one, and my heart breaks for you, but my step number one would be to contact the Southern California Veterinary Medical Association. And if that doesn't work for you and you don't get any response whatsoever, I want you to get back to me and I'll take it a little bit further.
Okay. Could I ask you one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Apologize.
No,
she had a sister 3 years younger. She had a sister 3 years younger. And by sister, I mean half-sister. Yeah. These are unfortunately purebred Burmese from the same breeder, and the father was the same father, different mothers. And she's obviously heartbroken. She follows me around like a dog. And in fact, they both did before anyway, but even more so. She's much more talkative. And I keep telling my wife she needs a companion, and she won't go for it. Am I wrong? If I am, I'll just back off.
No. How old is the cat, the surviving cat?
She's 9.
Okay. Here's my feeling, okay? It can go either way, but I really believe that maybe at 9 years old, adding a second cat may be the way to go, being that she's already lived with cats. Have you considered maybe adopting at this point?
I found one over in Agora, but it's not a Burmese. So
what do you care? Well, it's a what? Listen, I'm Jewish from Long Island, and my wife's Catholic from Omaha, Nebraska. Doesn't make any difference. We still get along with each other most of the time. So the bottom line is, listen. One of the things about being cat, there are certain breeds of dogs that prefer their own kind, but when it comes to cats, they will adapt to each other. I'm a big fan of the Berman cat anyway, but getting another cat, rescuing and saving a cat, what a legacy for the cat that's no longer with you, and what a friend for the new cat. I would say work with the rescue group closely, see if they get along, do some scent swapping. I want to send you a copy of my cat book, so it'll tell you how to make the proper introduction if you do decide to make that decision. But Robert, will you give me a call back and keep me posted in terms of letting me know what's going on with the veterinary?
Southern California Veterinary Association.
Southern California Veterinary Medical Association, absolutely.
Veterinary Medical Association. Okay, I don't have a pen to write it down, and I kind of called you on the spur of the moment as I was coming home from the market, but I'll remember that.
I'm sure you won't forget. If you do forget it, Robert, you can always shoot me an email. It's mail@thepetshow.com. Just mail@thepetshow.com. Anyway,
I have senior moments. I'm 78, so what am I going to do?
Listen, we all have senior moments. Anyway, I'm putting you on hold. I'm sending you a copy of How to Get Your Cat to Do What You Want. And listen, no one's omnipotent. No one. I mean, Well, except for me. But veterinarians make mistakes. My doctor made a mistake. I had diagnosed with a cancer. I'm not going to go into the depth of it, but the first time he did something and it didn't work out the right way and the cancer came back, had he done it right the first? Well, anyway, the bottom line is that's what you need to do. Is if you have, if you're not happy, don't be afraid to let your voice be heard. It may save the life of another cat. Anyway, the phone number 866-870-KRLA. Let me, I got to take a quick break here. When I come back, we got Neil, Elise, Phil, and Nancy. But listen, if for some reason, guys, I don't get to your phone call by the top of the hour, you all know when I get off the air here, I go right into Radio America, which goes all over the United States, Canada. Also, it's heard on Armed Forces Radio. It goes to 130 other countries. So you will be the first ones to get that phone number. So if for some reason I don't get to your call or you're driving around, grab a pen and paper. In about 10 minutes, I'll give you that phone number as well. But right now, the phone number here, 866-870-KRLA, 866-870-5752. I'm Warren Eckstein. You're listening to The Pet Show. And we are back on The Pet Show. I love this. Now, I was talking to someone this week. It was a listener. I think they were from Illinois. I think they were from Illinois. Anyway, the bottom line was they had a dog, and all these people, these trainers that they worked with, were telling them the dog's wild, the dog's crazy. I said, no, you just have one of those Peter Pan dogs. You're lucky to have a dog that's going to be a puppy his whole life. Enjoy it, take advantage of it, educate him, teach him. But he's Peter Pan. Certain dogs, just like certain people, just like certain cats, just like certain all species, are what I call Peter Pans. They just never grow up. I think that's what my lovely wife Denise thinks about me as well. Let's go to Neil in Venice Beach. Hey, Neil, welcome to the show.
Hi, Warren. Thank you for taking my call. I mentioned to your intake caller guy there, that you had met Annie. I met you at the outdoor event you had a couple of months ago. Anyway, my little Annie, who was a Chihuahua Cougar Hunch mix, she died about 5 weeks ago. She was only 9.5.
I'm so sorry.
And thank you. I know I'm still suffering. She developed a heart murmur, and I was very disappointed. The vet that I used to take her to moved away. I don't know, something happened to her. And I went to 2 different vets. One vet said she was fine. She had developed a cough. And the one vet said her heart is fine. I went to another vet. He said, she has a heart murmur. A dog that coughs, it could be indicative of a heart situation. So that's pretty common knowledge. Yeah, but the vet did not inform me of anything. I said, heart murmur. I said, I have a neighbor who had to put her dog down because of that heart murmur. He said, you may be 5-6 years away from that, and just give her the medicine. And he did recommend x-rays and ultrasound, but it was 12 days later she died. She got a really bad attack. By the time I got her to the emergency vet, it was too late.
I'm so sorry.
And, I didn't know that heart murmurs are various types of heart murmurs. There are many different types of heart murmurs, and I don't want to run out of time. But let me just. How can a vet not even tell you? This could happen, that could happen.
Listen,
no, just give her this medicine and come back once a month and get the medicine.
There are veterinarians. There are veterinarians that I think are the most incredible people in the world. They do their job like amazingly. I work with vets all over the United States and Canada that I would rather have them work on me than my regular doctors. That being said, though, no one is omnipotent. No one. If you have a veterinarian and it doesn't sound right to you, and it's something is like maybe you think it's get a second opinion. Never be afraid to get a second opinion.
Was worse. And anyway, do you know where you can find a Cougar Hunch breed of dog?
Tell me what that is. You got me confused. Maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Well, it's Cougar Hunch. It's a little hard to spell. But if you look them up, they're a dog from the Netherlands. And in the 1800s, I understand they were duck hunter dogs. They used to use their tails to wag very fast. and so they are considered like a bird dog. And
you're not talking about the puffin dogs, are you?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, no, well, I'm going to check out on that breed. I don't know where to get that breed. You're going to have to do your own research on that. But let me move on. In the meantime, let me put you on hold and let me send you a T-shirt. Then when you get another dog, call me back. You know, there is a breed of dog from I think it's from Holland, Norway. It's a puffin dog. It's not the real name of the breed. So many different breeds coming around nowadays. I can't even keep track. But actually, it's a double-jointed dog, which used to go into the crevices to get the puffin birds. And the dog could actually put its head, because it was double-jointed, lie its head on its back, so it can back out of the crevices without turning around because the crevices were too small. A Lundhund, a Norwegian Lundhund, L-U-N-D. See, it comes back to me. My memory's not gone. A Norwegian Lundhund. I've had many of them on the Today Show and Letterman Show with me. Interesting breed of dog because they are double-jointed. Their legs are double-jointed. They can spread them out and they put their head right on their back. Anyway, let me do this. The phones are pretty full. So I'm going to give you the number for the national show in a few minutes. Let me see if I can squeeze another call or two in here, though. Let's go to Nancy in Simi Valley. Hey, Nancy, welcome to the show.
Hi, Warren.
How are you today, Nancy?
Fine. How are you?
I am doing okay. What can I do for you?
Okay, this is really strange because I can hardly hear you, but that's fine.
I'm talking loud.
Anyway,
How's that?
I was calling in response to your question for the day.
Yeah.
And I think you were right.
I did the right thing.
Yes, I believe you did. Years ago, there was a movie called Hidalgo.
Don't know it, but I've heard of it, yeah.
And the lead character was played by Viggo Mortensen, Frank T. Hopkins, who was based on an actual character. Anyway, and this was way back in the old days when people rode horses. And his deal was, you can do anything to me, but don't you dare hurt my horse.
Yeah, that's like me. You can kick my car, but just you touch my dogs, and that's not the right thing to do.
Yep. So anyway, you were right.
Well, I thank you, Nancy. But listen, don't go anywhere. What kind of dog do you have, Nancy?
Pardon?
What kind of dogs do you have?
I actually currently don't have a dog. I have some great-grand dogs.
I love the fact that you people don't even have dogs, and you're listening to me. I must be that good.
I know. I love listening to your show on Saturdays when I'm home.
Nancy, years ago, there was a movie out. We're talking about stealing dogs. There was a movie out called The Black Marble. Mm-hmm. And it was about a dog that was stolen, and they put the dog's ear in, and it was a horrible story. The guy who starred in it, I can't think of his name. He was the same guy who starred in the movie Jaws, and I trained his dog. I should know his name.
Scheider?
Roy Scheider, yeah, there you go. Roy Scheider, yeah. Was it Roy? Yeah. I trained his dog years and years ago. Anyway, the bottom line is, if you ever have a chance, watch the movie The Black Marble if you can get it. It's not a fun movie to watch, but you can, if you're really into dogs, you can tell that whoever wrote it, Joseph Wambach, I think, whoever wrote it really understood the background of dogs. Anyway, don't go in. I'm putting you on hold. A T-shirt on its way. Appreciate that phone call. 866-870-KRLA, the phone number, 866-870-5752. Let me take a quick break here. We'll come back. We'll try to get to you, Phil. We'll try to get to Elise. If not, let me do this. I'm going to give you the number right now, but don't start calling this number till 1 o'clock. This is my number from my international show that goes out of Washington, D.C. It starts at 1 o'clock. Now, here's the deal. The show actually starts at 5 minutes after 1. That means calls are going to be coming in from all over the U.S., Canada, and around the world. But my Los Angeles listeners, if you start calling like at 1 o'clock or 1:01, you're way ahead because I didn't give out the number. The show didn't start for another 4 or 5 minutes. So you'll be the first ones calling. So write this number down. This is the number. You can start calling at 1 o'clock, not before, but be patient. It goes into Washington, D.C. to Radio America. That number is 877-725-8255. 877-725-8255. At the same type of show, I give the same type of gifts away. So again, start calling at 1 o'clock. Let me take a quick break, then right back at you. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is The Pet Show. We are back on The Pet Show. I want to share this with you. I want to tell you about something special going on at thepetshow.com. So listen carefully. This is the first and only time thepetshow.com is throwing a BOGO. That's right. Buy one NatureVet wellness product, get the second free. These are top quality pet supplements and wellness products at insanely affordable prices. Just select 2 NatureVet products on my website, thepetshow.com. Don't forget that thepetshow.com store, and enter the code BOGO at checkout to get your free item. Whether it's joint supplement, allergy care, calming aids, NatureVet has the products you need, and at my website, thepetshow.com, it makes them affordable. Don't forget to enter the coupon code BOGO at checkout. Good only while supplies last, so go to thepetshow.com, thepetshow.com, check out the NatureVet products, buy one, get one free, use BOGO at checkout to get your free item. Let me get right, do we have time? No, we're not going to have time. Here's what I want to do. I don't want to rush anybody. So, Elise, I know you've been holding on for a long time. You have a foster dog with an issue, and I definitely want to resolve it. Please write this phone number down, 877-725-8255. Write that number down. Start calling at 1 o'clock. I'm writing your name down so I know you will be my first call back then. Also, Phil in beautiful Woodland Hills, your cat is not house trained. I'm sure I can help you with that. You write this number down as well, 877-725-8255. I'll take you on my national show, and as I said, I give away the same type of gifts at the same time. I just have a couple of minutes left before the end of the show, so I wanted to go over a couple of things with everybody. Number one, you heard me talk about the story when I first opened today that I moved to a new neighborhood, and I had a conflict when my next door neighbor yelled at one of my dogs to shut up. I did a video on that. I'm very proud of the video. It's going to kind of make you laugh, and you'll see exactly where I'm coming from. If you would like to see that video is now available on my Instagram at instagram.com, Warren Eckstein, Instagram at Warren Eckstein. It's also available on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Warren Pet Talk, Warren Pet Talk, or you can check it on my website, thepetshow.com. It's kind of an interesting, my wife, the lovely Denise, had some input, but it's kind of interesting. And again, you can send me a note there. A lot of people tend to agree with me that I did the right thing, and that I maybe some people said I should have been more assertive. Well, anyway, take a look at the video at thepetshow.com, Instagram at Warren Eckstein, or facebook.com/Warren Pet Talk. Take a look at it, and then send me an email. I want to know what you guys think. Again, that number for the network show, which starts in exactly 2 minutes, is 877-725-8255, 877-725-8255. That is it for the time we have. So until next week, you all know what to do by now. Give all of your pets a big hug and a kiss for you, a very special hug and a kiss right between the ears for me. I'm Warren Eckstein, and once again, thank you. Thank you for listening to The Pet Show.